Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Back to Basics with Coach Sherry Ann. I haven't hosted one of these shows in quite a while, so I'm excited to be again with Coach Sherry Ann. I love doing shows with Coach Sherry Ann. So welcome. My name is Alex Juarez, and welcome to today's show on Back to Basics. And today we're going to be focusing on staying active during hot summer months. An important topic, especially all across the nation. It seems like there's a heat wave. So, in particular, here in Arizona, it's been warm and a little bit humid, but not as hot as we typically have in the summer. So we're kind of happy about that. But welcome to AARP Arizona's Back to Basics show. AARP is the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering people 50 and older to choose how they live as they age. With a nationwide presence and nearly 38 million members across the nation and approximately 900,000 here in Arizona, AARP strengthens communities and advocates for what matters most to families: health, security, financial stability, and personal fulfillment. So in the month of August, as we did in July, we will lean into AARP's return to in-person local events, volunteering, and AARP rewards. Keep an eye on that, AARP rewards, because that's going to be a topic that we're going to continue talking about more and more, how you can get rewards and how you can redeem those rewards as an AARP member. And obviously amplify the call to action for the 50 plus community to deepen connections in the communities. So AARP has focused on the important work of being a wise friend and a fierce defender for people 50 plus during the COVID-19 pandemic, demonstrating our commitment to their good health and financial security. And as we face another summer with pandemic concerns and record inflation, the health and wealth communications continue to be important. Though so does connecting with others. That's very important in our communities, right? In the name of health and happiness, of course. We'll meet this moment by moment and provide virtual experiences where people 50 plus can make connections, learn something new, have fun, and discover new. And we're also going to be, if you visit our pages, our calendars of events, you will see that there are some virtual and some in-person events in there as well. So for more resources and information, visit us, aarp.org/local. For those of you that are watching outside of Arizona, you will be able to get into the local pages there wherever you're watching us from. And in Arizona, you can also visit us at aarp.org/AZ. Coach Sherry Ann, always a pleasure. And before we start, happy birthday to Coach Sherry Ann. How are you?
I am great. Thank you very much. It's been a good morning so far. I've received quite a few well wishes, and so it's always fun. My family, I grew up in a very big family, and we always made a big deal about birthdays. And so I'm excited to go to my parents' house this evening and have Taco Tuesday with them and celebrate. So it's a good start, and it'll be a great finish.
That's wonderful. Happy birthday. Have a wonderful day. For those watching, please send a message to Coach Sherry Ann for her birthday. Wish her a happy birthday. We love Coach Sherry Ann. We are so thankful to have her on a not weekly, but bi-weekly basis. So thank you so much, Coach Sherry Ann. So today we're going to be talking about staying healthy, staying active during the summer months. And in places like Arizona, and even in the East Coast where it's hot, humid, we've got to talk about the importance of staying safe while we do exercise outdoors. So we're going to talk about some tips and how to stay active in the summer months. So go ahead.
You're absolutely right. Like there's heat all across the nation. Yes, here in Arizona, we've got the oven hot, and then other places they've got humidity, but it's just hot in general. And usually during the summer months, some people tend to wane and not stay as active because it's just so hot and it's not as fun, especially when you're out in really muggy temps. And there's safety issues involved in it. And so, yeah, it's very important to understand what happens to your body when you're out in hot temperatures. And so what's happening when you start to increase your body core temperature is blood gets shuttled to the surface of your skin to help cool your skin off, to help you sweat, because that's our body's natural way of cooling itself is sweating. We know that, but most people don't even think about how and why that happens. And so what's happening is blood's being pushed to the surface of your skin to help you sweat to help kind of keep this evaporative cooling going on. And so when it's shuttled to the surface of the skin, it's taken away from the muscles. And so your heart rate will naturally increase also because it's working harder to pump that blood through your body. And so when your heart rate increases and your body core temperature increases, those are things that you actually really need to be very careful and monitor yourself. And so in the beginning of summer, I always encourage people to just slowly build into working in the heat, because it can be very dangerous.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that will acclimatize to it. I mean, you see people, gardeners, like working out midday, and you're like, oh, how can they do it? But they've kind of worked up and acclimatized to it, because our bodies are amazing. I love the human body, and I'm always learning about it and continuing to, just investigate. But one of the things that happens with our blood, and I'll just give this side little tangent because I think it's fascinating, is your body will actually create more red blood cells to transport oxygen to also, and your blood volume will increase when you are at training or doing anything out in the hot summer months, so that it can work at keeping you cool, shuttling that blood to the surface of your skin, but also maintaining everything inside and your muscles and everything. So it's actually fascinating that our bodies will be very, very adaptable, but you have to allow time for that. You can't just go midday and go exercise midday if you haven't been doing that and not expect to have some issues. So really pay attention to your heart rate and just understand that it's going to increase when you're doing anything outside in the heat. So that's one thing that I always try to encourage people when you're first doing this, like, just go in the morning, just get up a little earlier. The sun's obviously rising earlier, so just start earlier, or wait till later in the day, until the sun is down out of closer to the horizon. Because usually here in Arizona, 3 o'clock is about our peak temperature. That's about our hottest time of the day. And then it'll start to drift off. But even when the sun's still in the sky at 5 p.m., it's still warm. So you might need to wait till 6 or 7, and do your exercising if you're insisting on doing outdoor exercising, to wait later in the evenings. So it's just, you have to kind of work within it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're getting some comments, and I see, for example, Cheryl mentioned that there's 100% humidity in New Jersey. Oh, that would be brutal.
So that's the other thing. It's like, see, here in Arizona, we have our monsoon season where it does get really humid. And I went for a very long bike ride Sunday, and it had rained Saturday night. So Sunday it was very humid. Everything was still very wet, and I was dripping sweat. And which makes you think that your body's doing a good job at cooling itself. But the problem in humidity is your sweat does not evaporate and give you that evaporative cooling. So actually in humid temperatures, your body temperature stays high. Like the surface of the humidity actually doesn't allow your sweat to evaporate and cool you. So you actually are hotter in humid climates. And so people are always like, well, it's a dry heat, it's a, it's like, okay, it's like heat's heat for one thing, but in the humidity, it's actually harder on your body.
It's even worse. So you've told us the rule of thumb of water, how much water to drink on a daily basis. But in summer months, when we're exercising outdoor, what are we supposed to do? And is it just water, or do we take some type of hydration liquid, that they sell?
I'm so glad you asked that, because I was going to touch that. So yes, so I usually say you need to drink about an ounce per body weight. And you need to even do more than that if you're outside sweating profusely. And you never want to overdo your water, because that's called hyponatremia. And what happens is it dilutes the electrolytes in our blood, and it can actually be very, very dangerous. So you want to make sure that you are consuming electrolytes. And the 3 that I focus on are sodium, potassium, and magnesium. A lot of people think that they just need to make sure they're having enough sodium, but potassium and magnesium also helps with muscle contraction, and your heart is a muscle.
Sure,
So
absolutely.
you need all 3 of those electrolytes. And stay away from sugar drinks. Like, stay away from Gatorade and Powerade and all of those things. Like those, because sugar actually dehydrates you. I mean, Gatorade really figured it out. Like, because when you drink Gatorade, you're actually thirstier and you need more. So because sugar requires water molecules to be broken down. So that's why sugar dehydrates you. So really try to stay away from sugary drinks when you're trying to make sure that you're staying hydrated. And you have to make sure that you're staying hydrated throughout the day. Don't just think you're going to drink a ton of water and you're going to be fine. Like it takes time for it to get into your whole system. Otherwise, if you drink like a gallon of water in one sitting, you're just going to go pee it out. Like your body's going to hang on to a lot of it, but it's just going to flush it out too. So make sure you're just staying hydrated throughout the day and not waiting until you're getting ready to go do some exercise. It's so very, very important. And hydration helps with digestion. It helps with clarity. There's so many benefits to hydration. And so, because when people are dehydrated, things just aren't functioning as normal. Their brain isn't as sharp. They don't, digestion is messed up. So make sure you're drinking throughout the day and getting in those electrolytes. Yeah, because that's one of the more dangerous things. A lot of people think that they just need to drink water. Don't drink just water. Make sure you have some form of an electrolyte in there. The one that I prefer is a company called LMNT. It's just
LMNT. Element.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's element, but it's just those 4 letters. And because they have a perfect blend of sodium, potassium, and magnesium. There's a lot of other opportunities out there. I mean, and if you want something that's sweet, like if that a desire of yours, like the Noon tablets, which is NUUN, they're effervescent tablets that you can drop into water and they're fizzy and they just kind of dilute. There's stevia in there. So it gives you some sweetness, but no sugar that's going to hurt you. So Noon tablets are a great way to get some electrolytes in there. But yeah, make sure that you are drinking plenty.
So I've got a question for you. Back in the 70s and early 80s, when I played football and soccer, coaches would put salt in water. Was that correct?
Yeah. I mean, so the element that I use actually has 1,000 milligrams of sodium. So it's pretty salty. But we've discovered over the course of time and study a lot of research that we're not consuming enough salt, like in places where people sweat a lot, because sodium is very necessary for just healthy, for your heart to beat, all of those things, for our bodies just to function. And so, salt is really, really actually just taking it straight would be fine if you just wanted to do table salt. But yeah, so your coaches back in the day knew what they were doing. And
knew what they were doing, I guess.
It's probably from personal experience that they figured that one out, because that's not really very, very common. But yeah, so things to be looking for when you are out and you're not feeling so good. I think it was about a month ago, I think 11 people were rescued off of Camelback. Yeah. They clearly were not locals. There was a group of 13 that went out and they were not prepared, and so 11 of them had to be rescued off. And so things to be looking for when you're out exercising in the heat, if you so choose to go do that, or you're with friends, is to be paying attention to, if you stop sweating, that's a concern. That means you are definitely dehydrated and you've got some major issues going on. You've got very viscous blood that is going to be harmful to you. If you're starting to get muscle cramps, because your muscles are just staying contracted because you don't have that sodium and potassium in there to help with muscle contraction. So muscle cramps. If you're starting to feel nauseated, that's another great sign. Fatigue, headaches, things like that. Look for those things. And if those things are happening, your body core temperature is probably too high. If you're dizzy and you've got lightheadedness, once again, it's just because the blood's not pumping. It's too viscous and it's not getting to where it needs to go. And so these are signs that you are possibly facing heat exhaustion, and you can recover very quickly from heat exhaustion. But if you continue to push it and not pay attention to those signs that your body is giving you, you could potentially end up into a heat stroke, which is very, very dangerous and can have some serious lasting effects. So listen to your body. When you're out in the heat, it will give you signals. And so you're not sweating anymore, you need to go get cooled off. And so it's just important to get your body core temperature down as quickly as possible.
Can you give some tips of best ways to cool your body off?
Well, okay. So if you're out and about, if you can get into a building or into a car and turn the air conditioner on, do that. But getting into a building would be the fastest way to do it. If you're out and about and you can't get into a building, you need to find shade as quickly as possible, get the sun off of your body. And you need to put cool rags like around your neck, under your arms, and behind your knees.
Okay.
Those are the fastest ways to get your body temperature cooled off, is get a cool.
Not so much on the head, but more on the neck.
More on the neck, because you have major vessels here that are, and the skin is thin. So the whole point is to get core temperature down. Okay. So getting in the shade and getting cool rags around your neck, armpits, and behind your knees.
Okay.
So and if you're taking care of someone that could potentially, that's the first thing you want to do, get them in the shade. And always have water with you when you're out and about. Like, I actually carry extra water because sometimes I see somebody that's not as prepared, and I'm happy to hand off some water, because it's actually very scary. It's happened to me where I've gotten dizzy. I went for a very long trail run and did not go as prepared as I needed to. And it's nerve-wracking. So I got down, I was up on trails, and I got down to where the houses were. And I went to like someone's house and used their hose in front of their yard, because I was like, I was that desperate to get cooled off. Wow. Because it happens here so fast. And not just here, I should say anywhere where it gets hot. Like when it happens, you've got to get it reversed as quickly as possible. So find shade. And I always carry, they're called buffs. They're just like really super thin material, and I usually wear it on my wrist. Sometimes I'll put it around my neck, and I keep it wet. So I have a wet rag with me when I'm out and about, just to help keep me cool. So, but yeah, getting in the shade is critical. If you can get into a building, and get your skin wet, get it moist, because you're most likely not sweating anymore to create that evaporative cooling.
Exactly. So we know that, some of the best things to do is to take walks, but when it's hot, humid, we've got to do it either early in the day or maybe late in the evening. One of the things that I see people doing is walking dogs, and it drives me absolutely nuts when I see them in the middle of the day, because that ground, that cement, it has got to be so hot for the poor paws on the dogs.
Yes.
Why do people do that? It just blows my mind.
I don't know. And I wonder if they've just acclimatized, like if they built their dog up to that, because the dog's paws are adaptable as well, and they can get very tough. But it is sad when I see animals out without little booties on their feet to protect their booties. I mean, to protect their feet. But dogs are just as adaptable as we are. And if the owner did start them at the beginning of summer or has built them up to that, then I think it's okay. If the dog isn't like prancing, it's probably okay. But when a dog's feet are hot, like they'll start prancing. They'll just like start bouncing because they don't want their paws on the ground. But yeah, I mean, one of the things too that I read about was like, oh, if you want to be more active, go get a dog. And I'm like, sometimes that helps some people, but not everybody, because you need a dog has to be active if you don't want it to shred your house. And so it's like, well, if I have to take care of this animal, it's going to be active. It's going to force me to be active. So for some people that does work, but for others, not so much. But one of the other things that I want to mention too, of what you're looking for, like, so if you start having, if you're not sleeping well and you have digestive issues and increased stress, back pain, neck pain, it just means that you're not moving as much. Because like I said earlier on, a lot of people come summer, they're like, oh, I don't want to go outside. It's just too hot. But if you start noticing that your routine is a little messed up, you're not feeling as good, you're not feeling as spry, it means you're not exercising. So you need to start doing something, and we all have to run errands. One of my biggest thing is like, if you're out running errands, park farther away. Yes, you're going to be walking in the heat, but you're not walking that far on. You're usually walking into an air-conditioned building. So take the stairs, make the most of running your errands to be at, a time that you can be active, and I've been doing this show with you guys for a long time. And I always say to you guys, try to focus on getting 150 minutes per week. All that is 30 minutes, 5 times a day. And if 30 minutes is too much, do 15 in the morning and 15 at night. But if you're out running errands and getting in and out of your car and walking and walking with some intent and some purpose, you can count that. Like that's active movement. And so that can be your activity also. But so make the most of your errands. Another one is gardening. Like it's hard to garden here, but we can. There's things that do grow here in Arizona.
Right.
So being active in gardening or cleaning your house, like really look at cleaning your house. Everybody always talks about spring cleaning. I say summer cleaning because like I'm inside my house, it's air conditioned. And I can actually get a lot of, exercise done and doing a little summer cleaning instead of spring cleaning. And just look at it like that, like doing your vacuuming, but try to vacuum with your non-dominant arm. You'd be surprised. So doing things like that, like, scrubbing, a lot of people have tubs in their houses, but they don't use them. So scrub your tub. Like these are activities that you can do. And it's like double duty, it's like you're killing two birds with one stone. You're actually getting your house clean and getting some exercise at the same time. So
very good. For those that have access to pools, what kind of exercises can they do in the pool? I mean, that's the way to stay cool.
It's amazing because the pool is non-weight bearing because it's like zero gravity in the pool, but water is more dense than air. And so you can do running in the pool. They even have these cute they look like dumbbells, but they're like floaties and you can hold them under the water and do exercises under the water, carrying these like little water dumbbells. There's all kinds of. Oh yeah. Yep. Because water is very, very dense. So if you have access to a pool, which most people do, even if you don't have one in your backyard, there's most likely a community one that you can go use. Using that is a great resource. Getting in the water, you could swim laps. That's a great exercise. It's just getting in the water. Water is very, very dense. And sometimes there's water aerobic classes that you can join if you want some direction. And people have great time. My mom does a water aerobics class 3 times a week. And some of those ladies are probably her closest friends. So get out and go do an aerobics class or dancing. If you've never taken dancing classes, you're inside a building. So it's air conditioned. So these are activities that you can do in the hot summer months that you can still be active. So dancing is a great way. And if you don't want to go be social, get a jump rope. You can do jumping. You can jump rope in your house. And believe it or not, it's a great exercise. So when I travel, if I can't get a run in, I'll jump rope. And I don't necessarily need a jump rope to mimic jump rope. Like you can just do it without a jump rope. Jump rope just makes it a little more entertaining because every once in a while you whip your leg. So it's, using a jump rope. And if you don't want to do a jump rope, just do jumping jacks. And if you're not ready to jump, you can do step jacks where you're just stepping to the side and acting like you're doing a jumping jack. So there's all kinds of things that we can do. And it's like, those are the things that you can do during, I say, make the most of your TV time. So how many people sit in the couch in the evening?
Right.
Mostly everybody
the
here.
Majority, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So make the most of your TV time. And it's interesting now because of Netflix and Amazon Prime and all the other, subscriptions that we can have. A lot of them don't have commercials now. Mm-hmm. Whereas before, I used to tell people during the commercial, get up and do an exercise, whether it's doing push-ups or a wall squat or just dips on your couch or whatever, like doing something moving during the commercial. So now I'm like, well, now we don't have any commercials. So you kind of have to create your own commercial. But do make the most of your TV time. If you're sitting there and you're plowing through shows, try to do something in between the shows. Take a break in the middle of the show.
Excellent.
And you can do simple
hot yoga.
Hot yoga it's not my cup of tea. I will say that just because I sweat enough outside. I don't want to go into a room and sweat.
Right.
But people love hot yoga and even just going to any yoga class really. Right. So yeah, you can, if you joined a gym, like check to see if they have classes, doing gym work is great because then you're not outside, getting in the heat and running the risk of having those issues. So, but yeah, yoga is a great way to get exercise in. It creates a lot of mobility that a lot of people don't have because as you become more sedentary, your muscles get tighter. So doing any kind of stretching that creates some more mobility in your body is actually very, very good.
Okay, very good. Excellent. I've seen that as I age, I go to the gym 5 days a week, but I decrease muscle, especially my leg muscles. That has decreased quite a bit. I was very active younger, playing sports, football and soccer. But now, as I age, it just keeps reducing, and I exercise quite a bit.
Yeah,
Why is
that's
that?
because as you age, you produce less and less human growth hormone. So that's part of it, is it's just part of aging. And that's why it's really important to do resistance training, whether you're using a resistance band or using any kind of weights or just body weight. Even your own body weight is totally fine. But it's something that you should do every day. It really is. And you can change different body parts. But yeah, as we age, we have a tendency, that's just how part of aging is. We have less HGH, so our muscle mass does decrease. So we have to actually work a little harder to keep it, if you want to keep it where it's at,
Yeah,
otherwise it's just embracing where your body is at in life, in the sense of like, it's not, you're still working. You're just not going to be working, like you did when you were in your 20s,
exactly. Absolutely. So Cheryl mentioned on a post there, ride stationary bike while watching TV. Right? That's a good way to do it,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. Yeah, it's your house. Set it up however you want, and if you have a stationary bike that you can put in front of the TV, wonderful. And so I train a lot of triathletes, and a lot of them will put their bike on a trainer and put their computer screen up and watch something on the TV as they work out. So yeah, it's definitely, do what you can to stay active. If you find yourself sitting, and like I said earlier, like, oh, my back hurts. It's like, you've been sitting too long. So get up and try to move around and do some exercises. And you can do very simple things like just standing up and doing like a reverse lunge, like stepping back, because everything we do is forward. So if you can work on stepping back into a lunge, it actually changes your brain and how things move. It trains the muscles a little differently, but just doing things like that. If you're, get up and stand up and then bend over at the waist and walk your hands out into like a push-up position, and then walk your hands back, into where they're close to your feet, and then you can roll back up, and I call that an inchworm, and it's just a simple little exercise, but you're going to be able to work your core and your arms and do something while you're watching TV.
Absolutely. So Pam has a post there about jumping in a trampoline while she's watching TV. That's great. Yeah, that's wonderful. Wow.
Yes, it's so fun. Like, mini tramps are really, really fun. So I love mini tramps because you can do so much on them, and they're actually just fun.
Yes, they are. Absolutely. And Brenda has a comment there that she's doing ARP Bollywood class in her air-conditioned living room tonight. So wonderful. Thank you,
I
Brenda, for
love
participating
it.
in our. That's
That is
wonderful. Okay.
awesome. Yeah,
Very good.
when you're in your kitchen cooking, like, make sure you really focus on, like, if you have to stretch to get something, like, really stretch, like, really try to focus on making that movement. When you're standing at the counter cutting vegetables, like, every, 10 seconds, do like a couple of curtsy lunges. And the reason I say curtsy lunges is because when you're doing a curtsy lunge, which we all know what a curtsy looks like, you're actually using the outside of your leg, instead of the traditional posterior and anterior chains, the front and the back. So you're using some lateral muscles when you do a curtsy lunge. So, and have fun with it, or put some music on and dance around your kitchen as you're cooking. That's a
Dancing is
common
perfect.
activity in my house, just so you know. We
You and
always
the
have
kids?
we always have music on, and we're dancing around, usually doing stuff, just being silly.
That's
And
wonderful.
that's the biggest thing too that I can tell you is, don't be afraid to laugh at yourself. Like, if you're doing stuff around your house, no one's gonna see you except for the people in your house, and those people love you anyway. So just have fun with it. When my kids were younger, we would do dance offs. So someone would do a move and they'd had to match it and then add to it. There's so many different things that you can do to stay active, if you don't want to go outside. But if you are going outside, just to reiterate, make sure that you're staying hydrated with your electrolytes. Pay attention to the signals that your body is giving you so that you don't become a statistic and have to be rescued somewhere. So just pay attention. Your body will tell you everything that you need to know.
That's right. Thank you so much, Coach Ariane. We're at the end of the show again. These 30 minutes just go too fast, but I want to thank you so much. Hope you have an amazing, amazing birthday.
Thank you.
Your kids and the family just spoil you. So thank you so much. What do we have to look forward to next show on the 16th?
Yes, the 16th. We are going to be covering the benefits and the different types of meditation. A lot of people cringe at meditation, and it's like, no, it's a beautiful thing. So we'll be talking about how to do it.
Well, there you have it. Please join us again on the 16th, same time. And Coach Sherry-Ann will be giving us some tips about meditation. So hopefully you join us. Have a wonderful rest of the day, great week, and we'll see you again in a couple of weeks. Thank you so much, and thank you, Coach Sherry-Ann.
Thanks.